Yes. This ramblings is going to be from my time in Pakistan. I wouldn't have guessed it, but I spent the longest time out of anywhere on my world conservation journey so far in this beautifully diverse country, rich in culture and history.
See with magnifying glass. Oh my days.
Balochistan, 7,500 years old.
And not to forget, cricket mad. Their current Prime Minister, Imran Khan, is even a former Cricket World Cup winning captain. Weirdly, my journey here began all the way back in September 2019 when I was in Kazakhstan. I'd had a rather disappointing conservation encounter when I set out to learn about the lucrative trade in the Saka falcon, one of the most sought after birds for falconry. I'd heard stories during this time of how these birds were stolen from their home ranges across northern and central Asia and trafficked over to the Middle East, where they're used to hunt the rare and protected Hubara bustard here in Pakistan. Fast forward then 6 months, and researching for this, I kept coming across headlines like "Trophy hunting protects Pakistan's national animal." Trophy hunting protects wildlife. Pakistan's trophy hunting program, most successful in the world. This piqued my attention. Could it be right that you could take a life to save the life of future generations? Hunting, and for sure trophy hunting, has never been much of a part of my life growing up. Something, without even considering conservation, I would have been ideologically against. And it's not even like it's being spoke about in the media either. Apart from the famous Cecil the Lion example from Botswana and that kid from Love Island, and these are sort of examples of what trophy hunting means to most of us. But these headlines showed that there was another side to this narrative. So I did a little bit more digging into this and sent one Twitter DM which would lead me on an adventure like no other I'd been on before. After spending some days enjoying all Lahore had to offer with my boy Ali, I was set to meet up with my contact Isa Khan, who had arranged for us to go over to a private hunting lodge he co-owns in the Punjab Salt Ranges. Before heading anywhere, we stopped to get a quick bit of background from the Punjab State Wildlife Department. They were keen to show off the Tree Tsunami, a project investing in 63,000 green jobs to plant 10 billion trees, increasing their forested area from a measly 3%. This was great news. It sort of shows that Pakistan is starting to take their responsibilities for environmental damages and restoration seriously. But what I took most from my audience with Mr. Asif Tamam, Secretary of the Forest Department, was an anecdote he told me. That hunting is something inherited from the British, who in an attempt to encourage ruralisation were offering people 5 rupees for the head of a tiger and 2 rupees for a head of a jackal, eventually doubling the cash. That works out at like £6 today for a head of a tiger. Issa would go on to bring this up in the car on the way to the reserve. He said, what this has done is take out most of the main predators from the ecosystem, allowing the natural prey to flourish. Does that mean that hunting was justified nowadays as humans filling in that ecological role left by those predators? After winding through the rural communities of the Punjab Salt Range, we arrived in the 25,000 acre reserve belonging to the local Community Conservation and Trophy Hunting Committee, of which the private game reserve we were visiting, specialising in partridge and Urial hunts, was just nearby. Today there were no hunters or bird watchers at the lodge. I had it to myself and wasted no time sitting down with the 2 resident conservation managers, Abdullah and Ali, to understand what goes on here.
The main purpose of Private Game Reserve or CBO is for conservation of endangered Punjab Urial, and that is by using sustainable use in the way of hunting. And before the hunting, before the CBO, there was very less number of Punjab Urial was left in Salt Range. But now where there is CBO or Game Reserve, there are a good population of Punjab Urial. The only thing which is getting the fund which is generated, that is only from the hunting. We are promoting other activities other than hunting, like ecotourism, but the main budget comes from that hunting.
It turns out each hunt requires a permit, and these come in strict quotas, each costing $18,000.
It depends upon survey of the population. For example, if there are 300 number of Urial are 300, then 3 permit. Per 100 there is permit.
The community receive a large chunk of each permit fee, 80%, of which 40% of goes into development projects in and around the community. But I was told that their involvement didn't end there, with them just relinquishing the hunting rights to their grounds.
Without the locals, this wouldn't have been possible.
Even animal understand. Punjab, many locals move in the herds of Punjab Urial and it is having no problem.
And so will you just go out and pick any Punjab Urial and mark them for shooting?
No, actually the animal which is being selected for the hunt is the one which has completed its age limit. They are the older ones. Either they are about to die in a month or in a year or 6 months. So that kind of animal is being selected for the hunt, and the reason behind it is as well that the hunters, they're always looking for the bigger trophy.
The guys told a story about how instead of taking 7 days to find a Urial, it now only takes 30 minutes. So I went off to go and see if that was true.
So Billy,
Yes, sir.
so now you have to watch it very clearly
Yeah.
and very keenly, okay? Because it is not very simple or very easy to watch the Urial.
There's some brown things on the cliff face over there.
Wrong?
They weren't wrong. I was surprised. What a special experience though it was to just watch these animals go about their business from so close, with 6 of them parading themselves across the ridgeline. Recent surveys say there are now 475 individuals in the area, more than double since the programme began, with even more lambs having been born this year. The guys say their most important conservation job here is stopping any illegal poaching, which in the past years has been as many as 100 incidences a year. And working with the village wildlife watchers, local shepherds, the guards have been on 12-hour shifts, camping out under the stars, watching out. And poaching now on average has reduced 5-fold. And even this lambing season, they got this number down to 0. It was surprising to hear how Ali's perception of things had changed since he arrived at the lodge 6 months ago.
That is before, when I took admission in wildlife and start studying wildlife management, I was thinking that this is not good things. Hunting is not good thing. It's cruel activity. But when I experience this activity, it is good. Hunting is good sport, but if it is sustainable and for the conservation of Punjab Urial, the fund that is generated by the hunting of Punjab Urial or hunting of bird, that is putting back for the conservation of that species. So that is good activity.
As I was leaving, I was also told the team at Padhri had plans not just to manage the species inside the reserve, but even reintroduce species like the black buck and Indian gazelle, which would have formerly roamed these ranges. Heading onwards towards Islamabad, I presumed that was it for my adventures here. Time to get my visa for Afghanistan and just move on. But that night Issa came in. Billy, you're going to the north tomorrow. Meet my friend at the airport at 5 AM. He'll look after you. I was shocked, nervous, but more than anything, incredibly excited. The north is a place of dream and mystery, and every person I'd spoke to so far had been raving about its beauty, how it's one of the most rugged and isolated places on earth, and that I haven't seen Pakistan if I don't go up there. And I believed that it could be really one of the last frontiers of true adventure left on the planet. So I jumped at the opportunity. I had no idea who this guy was, who else would be there, what we'd be doing, where we'd even be going, and how long we'd be there. But I knew and I sort of believed that I'd never get an opportunity like this again. And to keep up to date with everything, make sure you give all of these a follow.